Kearney School District Board of Education, regular meeting. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge Roll call, please. Here, Jen.
Here.
Here.
Here. Here. We have a quorum. We'll adopt the agenda.
Move that the agenda be approved as presented.
Second.
All in favor? Opposed? Thank you. We have no public comment tonight. We have Kearney Junior High as our school spotlight. So Mr. Gooden, Ms. McMains, and Ms. Stevie.
First off, thank you for having us. I'm excited to be here for the school spotlight tonight. There's a lot of good things that have been going on all year long at Kearney Junior High, but probably one of the ones that I'm the most proud of is some of the work that we're doing within our seminar classes with what we call our seminar challenges. So tonight, I brought our counselors, Mrs. Stevie and Mrs. McMains, along with several of our students to kind of talk about some of the great work that they're doing during that time. So I will turn it over to them.
Thank you. I'm Mrs. Stevie. I'm our 8th grade counselor at the junior high. Mrs. McMains, I'm the 9th grade counselor at the junior high. This year...
Would you mind speaking in the microphone? Thank you.
We'll try. We move around a lot. This year at the junior high, the junior high has had a seminar at the end of the day for a while, but this year we wanted to change it up a little bit, and Mr. Gooden asked us if we would add to seminar a couple days a week with an SEL goal. And so, see if I can. So we were challenged kind of with the goal of fostering some relationships between teachers and students during seminar a couple of days a week. And so that was one of the things. And then another goal was decreasing office referrals. And so that was what we were focused on during seminars on Mondays and Fridays at the junior high.
And so in thinking through our challenges, we wanted it to be something that all could be comfortable with. So not something that was purely athletic, not something that was purely academic. And so you can see from our slide there the variety of challenges that we did. We started out bubble gum blowing, how many bubbles each seminar could blow in a 2-minute time period. From there, for Red Ribbon Week, we celebrated through door decorating. We celebrated Thanksgiving with a turkey catapult building, which
So that's what these are our turkeys that we catapulted. So every month we had a different challenge. So these are our turkeys that our girls are modeling for us here.
in December, we did a gift wrap challenge, and students were charged with wrapping the most gifts that they could, again in a 2-minute time frame, but with oven mitts on their hands. We did a digital winter escape room in January. February was our kindness month bingo. They had to do a variety of events throughout the month in order to, again, just kind of facilitate kindness and belonging in the junior high. I think Cookie's going to talk more about trash get ball, maybe, but we did a trash get ball March Madness challenge. And then our final one here in April was the Mad Gab game show.
We have just some pictures that we wanted to show you guys. So this was our bubble gum blowing challenge. That's hard to say. And so this was all the way back in August, and this is kind of what it looked like as we went through the month of August. We had a Google Calendar that we pushed out all of the information to our teachers through. So we would have the information about each challenge each month on that calendar, and then we would have information on when their challenge was. So if it was like a bracket challenge, we would have their bracket posted on there so they knew when they were supposed to challenge another seminar. We also had those posted around the buildings because the students like to see if they were winning. And so we were able to show that. Show them the next one. I think this is our gift wrapping challenge. We had the oven mitts, and then we had to gather a lot of boxes that we had, and they were doing that on Mondays and Fridays throughout the month of December.
And then when they weren't, for example, like with the trash get ball challenge or with the catapulting or Mad Gabs, another piece of this that we found really exciting was that the teachers were starting to like not only take the Mondays or Fridays, whichever day they were competing, but they would be kind of trying to build up their kids through practice. They had Mad Gabs that were being displayed in the classrooms, and so kids were rapidly trying to test their knowledge there. And then it quickly became a competition with not just seminar kids, but with the teachers as well. We saw some competitive streaks coming out in our staff as well.
When teachers or seminars won, the big thing that they won was the Bulldog. And so they got the Bulldog for the month, and then they got to add their seminar's name with a dog tag, and they got that in their classroom for the month. So the Bulldog has become kind of the roaming trophy throughout our building, and in 8th grade has one, and 9th grade has one. The Bulldog is a very big deal. He got some beads, and so so the 8th and 9th grade Bulldogs are huge, and so whoever's classroom that ends up in the month is everybody knows. We know where that Bulldog is for the month. So.
And so as a result, we'd like to think partially because of our program, we were able to reduce our behavioral referrals to the front office staff by 37.5%. We feel like that's a huge number. And obviously credit goes to Mr. Gooden and Dr. Temple as well, but we feel like it was a success.
Yeah, and our teachers, being part of this and really engaging their students in that, they did a really good job participating. Our students, we wanted them to be able to talk about what they feel like they gained from that. I have 3 8th graders here from Mrs. McKinney's seminar, and so they said they would share some of the things that they feel like they gained from the seminar program this year. We have Jordan Deutschenoff, Adelie Morris, and Gavin Fulkerson from 8th grade, if you guys want to come on over.
Throughout the school year, as we've been doing these challenges, I've noticed that throughout the seminar and everybody in the classes have gained relationships with each other, and not just talking to each other and just looking over at each other, but talking to people, enjoying things with other people, and just really gaining the relationship with each other and the teacher as well. So
I agree. I remember walking into the seminar on the first day of school, and I didn't know very many people in that class, but now I have a good relationship with a lot of people in that class, and I made a lot of new friends. And every time we have a seminar challenge, Mrs. McKinney has us practice for several days on end before we actually compete. And before we compete, she gives us this huge pep talk to make sure we win. And yeah, very competitive.
Something I noticed about Miss McKinney's class is that she is very competitive with everyone else. And it seems like with that competition, you get to understand everyone a lot more better, I guess. And fun.
Nice.
We also have a couple of freshmen here from Mrs. Fulton's, the Funky Flamingos, with their talisman. This is Riley Donaldson and Lane Cook.
Something I really enjoyed during these seminar games was the trash get ball, because as a very competitive kid, I liked competing against other classes and trying to get that bragging rights against other people. I really liked that everybody was engaged and not just sitting around. It wasn't just all the smart people or all the athletic people. It was everybody. So I really liked that everybody was engaged in the competition.
I agree with Lane on not just athletic and smart kids like doing what they're best at, and it showed who wanted to take leadership and role in the class, and it took teamwork to win and showed who really wanted bragging rights.
So I take it to assume that you all won the Bulldog? Your class won the Bulldog? Okay. Twice? Okay.
He ain't letting it.
Very good.
So which teacher shocked you that they were actually very competitive and you would not have guessed? Like which teacher stood out that you're like, oh, that teacher is now competitive and I didn't realize it?
Miss Kubler.
Yeah? Very cool.
So from the list you have, like, you probably had some favorites, like, you have some that are gonna have to come back next year, or will you redo the list, or what will that look like?
I thought almost all of them were really fun.
Cool.
I would definitely bring back trash ball.
There we go.
We are going to survey the kiddos and see what they think we need to bring back, and then what suggestions they have. So we've had a few that want more like door decorating and things like that. So we're going to survey and see what they want us to bring back, and then what they feel like we need to add.
You should do a minute to win it in May, the kids against the teachers.
Thank you all very much for coming.
Yeah,
Very
thank you.
much.
I forgot to tell you about that picture. Hang on, we want you to
Come on,
here
come
for
on
a
back
picture.
up. We're going to get a photo.
The rule is, don't move, because your parents are gonna wanna get pictures too, okay? All right.
Anyone?
You can come up here. It's okay. Thank you guys for coming. I'll look at you guys see you next week. Next, we have recognitions, and I think we have Mr. Hyle. This is
Good evening. We had several band students who went to the Misha District Solo and Ensemble Festival in March, and by earning a gold medal at their entry in March, they qualified to participate in the state Misha Solo and Ensemble Festival at Mizzou, and that happened on April 25th. So Kearney had 13 events qualified to go to state, and we came home with 7 gold medals, 5 silver medals, and a bronze medal. So we have those students here, and so I'll just call them up by name here. First was Daisy Burnham, who played a clarinet solo.
Hang on.
Oh, okay.
We weren't ready.
Sorry, I should have
that's
thought
okay.
of that. Yeah. Kieran Cooper played a marimba solo. Emma Daniel was busy. She played a bass clarinet solo and then played clarinet in 2 different ensembles at state that day. Andy George played flute in an ensemble. Clay Johnson played trumpet solo. Alex Kinsler played an alto saxophone solo. Avery Morgan played alto saxophone on a solo and in an ensemble, right? Haley Robertson played a flute solo and in an ensemble. Charity Smith played clarinet in an ensemble, is that right? Okay. The 2 Taylor sisters are not here. They had a church commitment this evening. Ivy played clarinet in an ensemble. Phoebe played flute in an solo and an ensemble, but they're not here this evening. Next, Drew Wemhoff played clarinet in a solo. And then Clara Wenzel played a flute solo and in an ensemble.
Don't go anywhere. Parents, you're up.
He's the wire. Oh, yeah.
I'm a little shorter than Mr. Heil. All right. The vocal music side is set up very, very much the same as the instrumental side. The way that Misha does music competition, we have our district level events where students compete. They compete to get the top rating. If they receive a superior 1 honor rating, they qualify for state. And then we go to state and compete on the same day as all the other students in our region not our region, but in our assigned groups that are also state qualifiers. When we get to state, students then perform and they can be given a gold, silver, or bronze rating. We had a really successful day at state. Almost every single group we took got a gold rating with only 2 silver ratings, and those silver ratings were very well earned. To get anything above a bronze is always an honor. So I'm really excited to acknowledge our students today. We had many soloists and a small ensemble and mixed double quartet compete. And so I'll go ahead and recognize them individually. We have Ryan Bowles, gold in solo, gold in mixed double quartet. Lainey Boyd, she had a gold with a mixed double quartet. We have Emmy Eberhardt, silver with vocal solo. Connor Green, gold with solo, gold with mixed double quartet. Kate Martins, gold with mixed double quartet. Archer Schmidt, gold with mixed double quartet. Brianna Sipnewski, silver with solo, gold with mixed double quartet. Aiden Vasquez, silver with solo. Gold with solo, gold with mixed double quartet. And Leah Wilson, gold with mixed double quartet. Might have misspoke. Did I say Emmy got a gold or a silver with her solo? She definitely got a gold. She definitely got a gold. She earned that gold. All right. All right, let's go ahead and go windows. 2 rows. Rain melts it down.
Okay. Well, remember, don't go anywhere when I'm done. Okay. Tight. Okay. Perfect. Come on up here.
Thank you all for coming. Oh, wait a minute. We're getting individually.
Good to see you, Kate.
Just put a bunch of shock in it. So I'm vacuuming the
Mom might want to.
So we didn't have that. We got the 18 temperature girl. Yeah.
Hey, can he do a quick picture with his family? Would you guys be all right with that? Hey, Nick, you guys want a quick family photo with that?
We do not.
You sure? Okay. Hold on. Hey, Mom, do you? If Mom says yes, you're
Mom
doing
said
it.
yes.
Can't believe we're live.
Good
Okay.
try, John.
Thank you all for coming.
You were a little overreached there.
Nick, we know where you stand.
That's right.
Exactly.
That's okay. John, thanks for trying.
Just trying.
There you go.
That's good.
Okay, next we have our superintendent's report.
Okay, thank you, President Bailey. Just a few items for you this evening. If you remember, we brought in a speaker, Russ Tuttle, back in January to present to staff. I want to thank Jennifer Kopp and Allie Stewart for organizing that. He then presented to approximately 200 parents, and then had individual presentations to each one of our schools. What you may not be aware of is following that presentation, we surveyed paper pencil our 6th through 12th grade students, really on some at-risk behavior they may be experiencing with digital devices. I will tell you, thank you, Ray Weichel, for packaging some communication, and Jennifer. That information has been presented to staff already in our building-wide meetings this past week. And I think there's some alarming information in there. That information is also going out to families, so I encourage families to read that information. One of the things that we're going to be mindful of is how do we continue to support his message in upcoming school years as we look at digital citizenship. So please be looking at that information. On another front, Jefferson City, again, the Senate has passed the budget, and so that's now on to the governor. There was a pretty significant omnibus bill, Senate Bill 727, that was passed. And it's being heralded as something that's very pro-public education. I want to say that there are aspects of the bill that are, but we continue to wait and see what the actual impact's going to be to Kearney School District. We believe that there's several unfunded mandates, so we have some concerns. Again, we'll continue to vet that and really understand the implications there. As I mentioned previously, we've had some good time with staff. We've gone out and done our building visits where we really anchor to our strategic plan and our 4 goals of the work that we've seen them do and accomplish over the course of the year, and also kind of cast the vision for what will come for next year. It has been a phenomenal school year. It's hard to believe one more week of school. When you look at what students have accomplished, what staff have done to support them. So again, just want to thank each one of you for the time and service that you put into supporting our students. So that's my report this evening.
Agenda to be approved as presented.
Second.
All in favor? Opposed? Thank you. Scroll. Get to the right thing here. Okay. Got through it. Next, we have information items. First of all, financials. Ginger Elsie couldn't be here with us this evening, so I just briefly want to point out to you that if you take a look at the fund balance report, you can see, again, we're continuing to trend upwards. We've crested beyond 21% projected year-end fund balance, and we also anticipate that will continue to improve. If you remember at the start of the school year, we were projecting a year-end fund balance a little over 17%. Again, I think we've taken a look, and I think we have some historical swings in our budget and how we report, so that's something we're looking to rectify for future years. But again, this puts us in a much better position than what we originally thought at the start of the school year. So we are pleased to see that, and we're going to continue to work on tightening our budget practices over the next fiscal year. Any questions that you may have? Questions? On project update, I don't see Ben, but I think you're here. Oh, there you are. Okay. You guys are hiding behind the curtain.
Okay, good evening, everybody. So we had some fun this last month. So we did a topping out ceremony at the addition. So we set out a steel beam, let the kids all sign it throughout the week. And then that's our superintendent, Zach, out there. He had a little fun with it. He's known as the guy who throws the ball back over the fence whenever the kids throw it into the construction site. But he's had a lot of fun being there. So, a few speeches, we flew the beam up, and, all the kids' names were on it. So got to have a little fun as we're building these things. So that was pretty cool. Let's go to the next picture. So things are going really well on the addition. You can kind of see the outside. We've got all the block up. The structure's done. We're going to start putting on the cast stone on the exterior next week. So everything's tracking really well there. Let's go to the next one. Interior, so you can see we've started to frame the metal stud walls on the inside. Next one. Uh-oh. Go another one. This was a big milestone, so have a roof on it. So it's dried in right now, so that allows us to do all our work underneath. We're actually a little ahead of where we thought we were going to be at this point. So it's going very good. Let's see if there's any more. Might be it. Okay. So over the next week or so, we'll do all the mechanical and electrical rough in on the inside, and then we're kind of to a stopping point until we can go start demolishing the inside of the school. Once school gets out, we go in and demolish the existing administration suite, cut holes in the wall, and do that. So things are tracking exactly where they should be right now, a little bit ahead. Really excited about that. That's going to let us be successful by starting this early and doing some of the early bid packages we brought to you last fall. It allows us to be on schedule. As soon as school gets out, we go inside and we start replacing all the HVAC systems. So all the air handlers, those are already here. They're being stored in a warehouse right now, so that's really good news because those are long lead time items. So we'll be able to get to work as soon as kids are going out. We're going in. And then at the middle school, kind of same thing. Soon as kids get out of school, we're going to go in and start doing the HVAC in those spaces. We're doing a little bit more work at the junior high this summer. So if you remember last summer, we fixed a foundation that was starting to settle and sink, causing some cracks in the walls. We found a little bit more of that kind of on the opposite side of the building, and it hasn't damaged anything inside yet, so we're just going to reinforce the foundation again, and that'll prevent any damage in the future. So it's good. We're kind of catching that early. And then we've got the 3 other projects, Dogwood, Kearney Elementary, and Hawthorne. So design team's pretty far through design on those. We've done estimates on those. We've kind of met with the staff. We're kind of tracking to the budget that we need to there. So they're kind of in that final phase of putting construction documents together. Their goal is first part of June to have bid-ready drawings. And so we would take those drawings, bid them out the month of June. Ideally, we're bringing those for board approval in July. And then the idea is to start that work this fall and kind of finish those schools throughout the school year, because they're longer jobs. They've got bigger additions on them, and we would finish those for school year of 25. So things are tracking very well right now. Any questions for me?
Questions for Ben? Very good.
Okay,
Thank you much. Okay, Kearney Leadership Academy presentation. Yes.
Hi there, I'm Clara Steffen. I'm the instructional coach at both Hawthorne and at Dogwood. I'm sorry, I move a lot. My Kearney Leadership Academy passion project was to invite kindergarten parents for phonics nights. I'll walk you through it here. So my project consisted of having families in 5 different nights in April. They got to choose the session of their choice. And I wanted to really connect with families and present multisensory phonics routines. I presented 5 core routines that we do at school. So the kids already kind of should have a feeling for those routines and know what they're about. But the big part is that we also provided those families with a kit, a multisensory phonics kit that they could take home. Inside that kit were the materials and the tools that we use at school. So, and what's so powerful about that is when you have consistency with the practice and the routine and with the tools the kids are using, they can focus not on, oh, I've got to know how to use this new tool or learn this new strategy. Instead, they can focus on that concept to be learned. So that, I really felt that consistency was just huge. The intention started out to close gaps for our striving students. I ended up inviting all kindergarten families. So we're not only closing gaps for our kids that need it, but also supporting our students as they go into summer and experience that dip and that summer slide. So my hope is by providing families with these tools that they will be able to prevent that summer slide. There's my invitation. As I started thinking about a passion project when Mr. Masker first presented us with that idea, it was right on the heels of that Prop S bond. And that hurt a little bit, but I really started thinking about how can we just connect with families positively and say to them, like, look, this is what we do at school. Come do it with us. I also looked at that strategic plan, and the one that stuck out to me was classroom instruction and interventions. And intervention is sort of my wheelhouse, so I felt like I could lean into my strength there. And by it swirled around in my brain, and I thought, oh, this is what we can do. We're going to give families the tools that they need to help their kids and promote literacy education and hopefully make a positive bond and relationship with them at the same time. So this is my shout out board. As I was planning, I thought, you know, some of this was a big project and I could not have done it without all of these people helping me. One of the things I learned about leadership is you have to know who to ask to get help and who can help you. And these people all stepped up, and I appreciate their time and effort that they put forth. Particularly Allie Stewart, she let me know about the evidence-based reading grant that had already been awarded to the Academic Services Department, and she allocated some of those funds toward providing 100 kits to me to get to families and get them in their hands. So this is just a photo of one of my information nights. I held all of my sessions at Hawthorne Elementary. It's one of the schools I'm housed at, and I knew, you know, the facilities there. I did 5 different evenings in April, 1-hour sessions. I did do layered invitations, so our striving students got invitations earlier and more often. But like I said, I ended up expanding that into all of our kindergarten families. I attached my phonics presentation just so you can see one little thing about how families got this. This is one of the slides from my presentation, and families got this as a packet. So you can see there's a description at the top and then directions that specifically, explicitly say how to do this with your kiddo. I then pulled a 5th grader to help me video and a teacher kid, and I created a video, and that QR code leads to a video. So when that parent leaves my presentation and says, oh, I don't remember how to do that, they can QR code it, find the video, and go, oh, now I remember. Can you go to the next slide too, Ryan? Thank you. I also provided, okay, this is a word list that parents can use with that activity. Because even I, who do these things all the time, sometimes off the top of my head, can't come up with that word for that kid to practice that activity with or that routine with. So that's just one example of the 5 routines that I taught families. So we ended up, I put 72 phonics kits in parents' hands for our kindergarten families. It worked out to be about 60 families because if kiddos spent equal time at mom's and dad's, I said, please go ahead, take an extra kit, because once you teach your kiddo how to do this and they already know this routine, they'll gladly teach their other adult. I also have a handful of teachers within the district that are multisensory phonics trained with kindergartners, so I sent them home with one as well. And I'm just really proud of the fact that we've got, you know, 60 to 70 kids that are now having hopefully some of these experiences at home and these learning experiences at home. And these families now can help their kiddos close those gaps and hopefully feel empowered by knowing what we do at school. These are some of the emails that I got after the presentation from families. We had some really great conversations after the presentations. Some of the questions were about reading success plans, the dyslexia screeners that we do, what we do in RTI, what we do in special reading, how they can continue to help their kiddo at home, and other things that they can help their kiddo with. So those 2 pictures just made my day when I got those. Whoops. So I have committed to doing family phonics information nights again in the fall with our kindergarten families that are coming in. I thoroughly enjoyed connecting with our community in that way. I leaned into my passion of emergent reading and phonics instruction. There are some remaining grant funds, and Allie said that I can use them for that purpose. So I've also said that I would like to then in the spring bring in our incoming kindergartners, so our preschoolers, before the summer that they enter kindergarten and teach our families about how to do those phonics routines with their incoming kindergartners and give them that head start. I also swirled around, like, I can see this being applicable to other topics as well, and creating like a program organization of a family information session, for example, semester on a semester basis or something like that, because our staff has so much expertise in so many different areas and so many different topics. So I think it would be key to draw on that and allow them to connect with our community in that way as well. So, and hopefully that end result is we've developed a positive relationship better than we already have, empowered our families to know what we do at school, partner with us, and give them the tools to partner with us to support their students. And I just can't express my gratitude enough for the Leadership Academy program from Kearney School District, as well as Mr. Masker. I learned so much about not just leadership, but about myself as a leader, where my strengths lie, where I can continue to grow and improve. And the Leadership Academy really facilitated that for me. It connected me with some key people in our district. Dr. McMain spoke to us, Dr. Miller spoke to us, Jennifer spoke with us, and now I would feel comfortable going to all of those people and saying, hey, this is what I'm thinking, or this is an area where I need to improve. What do you think? How can I do that? Ellie Stewart also spoke with us, so I want to express my gratitude to the district for hosting that program and for Mr. Masker for doing such an excellent job facilitating it. Any questions?
Any questions?
When you say other top, this is phenomenal. This is a fantastic resource. What
Thank
I
you.
love about it is that it connects with what you're doing, like you say, but also if I'm only comfortable doing one page, it's still going to make a difference as opposed to having to do all five and all has to be all connected. You know, some is better than nothing. When you're talking about other topics, are you talking about other academic topics? Like I see this going really well for like math manipulatives. Like, is that kind of where you think you're headed, or?
Well, first I'd like to speak to something that you said. You said even if you only do one, it makes a difference. And that's one of the things I said in my presentation to parents is I told them my bread and butter routine. This is your bread and butter routine. If you only do this twice a week, your kids are going to be more automatic, more fluent, and
They all stand alone.
right, and build their automaticity as a reader. But I was thinking, like, wouldn't it be great, for example, with Russ Tuttle? Could we have our counselors and our media specialists get together and talk about digital literacy, or a math night, or our counselors' social emotional health, or I don't know. I just think our teachers have so much expertise and can offer so much. So it's something I would like to help facilitate and organize as we go forward, if possible.
Awesome. Great.
Any other questions?
Thank you so much. That was a great,
Thank you.
great presentation.
Thank you. I enjoyed it. I
Awesome.
really did. That's why I signed up to do it again.
Great. Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Michael Warnemont. So I currently teach 7th grade science at the Kearney Middle School, and I was also part of the leadership team. And my passion project that that I chose was RTI and response to intervention, and it kind of goes off of what Claire was talking about, but this is more in a middle school setting. And just kind of an overview and refresh your memory. RTI is basically, it stands for like a system of interventions that supports kids in their academics. And it's a K-12 strategy, as you saw it implemented in the elementary. Those take-home bags that Claire was talking about are a great example of that. In the middle school, it looks slightly different. That's where when I got with Principal Dan Miller about what, and just kind of talking through the middle school and what kind of different things we could do. We landed on response to intervention just because it can be so impactful. And there's so many different ways that you can utilize it. And it also aligns great with the district improvement goals to improving and maintaining the academics. And it fits underneath that intervention. So go ahead and click on the next one. So this is currently, we went into looking at just how is Kearney Middle School utilizing it and what are we currently doing. This is only my second year at Kearney, and so I was still kind of felt isolated also and just trying to learn more about how to effectively use it. And with Principal Dan Miller being new at the middle school, this helped him out too. Everything that I found was able to talk with him and just support him in his efforts there. So currently we have RTI in every single grade level, but every single grade level does it slightly different. So we also sent out a survey so we could get some information from our staff, and during team meetings also, I went and talked to fellow teachers and gathered some information about how they're doing RTI. And so from the survey, all of our core teachers shared their input, and we had one exploratory teacher share theirs. Exploratory teachers do not directly get RTI, but they are a pivotal part of how the whole system works. Because if it wasn't for your RTI kids, or if it wasn't for your Explo teachers, you wouldn't have the scheduling to allow for some small group instruction with a core teacher. So having them there to work and create the schedule is super beneficial. We also, like I said, the whole purpose was to figure out what teachers are currently doing, to share what we're doing, what's working well, and that was one of the definitely positive outcomes is teachers were affirmed in what they're doing, but they also gained some new strategies and some new thoughts and just brought it to their forefront of their mind of what they're supposed to be doing. From our survey, and one of the things we talked about is, well, who's eligible? What kids are eligible to get into RTI? How do we pick and choose, and how do we set this up? So we definitely wanted to create some consistency and make sure that we have some set guidelines. And we're currently and can plan to continue using NWEA as the major determining factor that kind of kicks the ball going and gets us in the right direction. And that's a now district-wide assessment that we take. So we get that data from 5th grade going into middle school, and then the 6th graders take it 3 times a year, and 7th graders take it 3 times a year. And what we're looking for is growth, as well as where are our students matching up nationwide with all the other students. And we're looking for areas where we can support students in academics. They're struggling in some form or some fashion. So that kind of kicks it off, and then grades are a huge determining factor. Those grades are aligned, so that's where we want to use that too. And then teacher observations also. There's certain things that just don't show up on the test, that don't show up in the grades, that our expert teachers can utilize and pick out right away and get it kind of going. One more thing that we kind of saw that we implemented was if a student is new to the district, RTI is a great place for them to kind of land to start out with. It gives them a teacher that checks in with them, makes sure they knows their schedule, make sure they know where they're supposed to be. Just kind of gets to know them a little bit better so they can feel welcomed and belonging. But then it also allows us to see once where they're at. So as they come in, we can quickly assess and figure out if they need supports, or if they not, then they can move out. So that was something that we came up with and kind of solidified as that criteria. All right, so from the survey, some other trends that we saw in the data, and our teachers have an understanding of the proper use of RTI. So, and we are very much unified in that purpose of, as it states there, supporting and assisting students in an academic, to meet an academic standard. And this is just one piece of the RTI also. This is throughout the day, but we also have Bulldog Zone that we refer kids to and invite kids to, and to get extra support as well. And the reason that we were looking at this is John Hattie is one of the big premier educational researchers, and he has a visible learning book, and his effect size for RTI is a 1.29, and which is significant impact on student learning. The effect size normal, so like average growth, is a 0.4. So you're looking at something that can potentially accelerate a student's learning and understanding by almost 3 times. So it can be very, very impactful as to how students, how teachers and districts use it. So we want to make sure that we're using it effectively. We also, or I looked up numbers off of PowerSchool as to enrollment, and I looked at it per quarter as well as throughout the whole school year, just to see once how much of the Kearney Middle School population are we serving. So in 6th grade, of the 290 kids, we got 47, which is about 16%. That's a little higher. We view that as a transition year, so there's kids that need more support as they come to the middle school, not only in academics, mainly for this purpose, but in other areas too, but this is where we're supporting them academically. 7th grade, we saw only about 11.6%, 12%, which is 32 out of the 175 kids. So that gives you an idea. It kind of fluctuates with the group and just the students. So to say whether that's a good number or not, it's kind of hard to tell. It just depends on your group of kids. From this survey and talking with staff, there's some considerations that we're looking at, and one of them being is just how many students are in that class. So from a lot of the teachers, this is from the survey, they said ideally about 4 to 5, but I mean, if we have more kids that need to get served, we're going to fit a few more kids in there that need it. And it also depends upon what type of kids. Other kids will, a certain type of kid will require more assistance, more one-on-one attention, more one-on-one redirects than what necessarily another student would. So that's kind of the ideal, but that's not always saying that that's how many we have in there. Currently, we have to look at ourselves as a building too. We are a math and ELA tested building. And so we use NWEA for math and ELA as those benchmarks. And they filter in. Okay, I see that when I teach science, and the other contents taught that too. If they're a struggling reader, they're going to struggle in science and social studies. If they're struggling at math, they're going to struggle in science as well. So there's definitely some overlap, but knowing that the middle school is math and ELA tested, we really hit those a lot harder and carry just a little bit more weight. And that's not to say that the teachers don't support in the other content areas either. So we're just using that more as a focus. Some common trends that we saw was, what are teachers actually doing with this time? We have extra time in the schedule. How are we being strategic in using them? And these are some of the things that they had reported out to us. And when I cross-referenced them, Mike Rutherford and Artisan Teacher, a lot of those things line up with with his research. A lot of them line up with Marzano's research too. So we're utilizing it effectively, but our future plan is just to bring this back around this fall and say, look, this is your RTI time. Just kind of have an agenda set up for the kids, have a routine established, and then use your effective strategies and effective practices that we kind of outlined. And some teachers got some ideas based on the surveys. So like, oh, I hadn't thought of doing that. Or some other teachers mentioned that, yeah, I'm going to start doing that. That's a great idea. So us sharing what we're doing in our classes through this survey helped give ideas to other staff within the building, develop some consistency, and hopefully increase our effect as well. Let's see. And so in the future, as I kind of mentioned this fall, we're going to share out those strategies to develop some consistency. We're also going to revisit. So something that I kind of noticed is we didn't really come back around necessarily as a whole group and say, okay, is that kid ready to move out or not? And I think we could do a better job of reevaluating. Is that kid making progress? Is our strategies working? Especially when we get to third and fourth quarter, as we're kind of in the second stage of it, we just want to make sure that we're best meeting the needs. I think, though, from what the survey had said in teacher feedback, and from teaching RTI, the kids get used to that extra support, and they like that. And so maybe trying to wean them off a little bit and help them mature a little bit and be a little more self-reliant would be helpful maybe there at the end before they transition into junior high. Something else we're kicking around is maybe like a rubric style evaluation, and unfortunately we do have some kids that are in RTI that are not passing their grades. So taking a look at and seeing like, well, why are they not progressing? The staff was not really in favor of a rubric style evaluation for a kid to maybe get kind of like a grade for RTI, because all of our other classes have grades to kind of show how they're progressing, but that would be one way to quickly show, like, are they participating? Are they coming prepared? Some of those softer skills. So we're still kicking around that idea, and staff can tell you like why they're not being successful, but I think that might be one way, or documenting it some way, so that way we know what's happening would be a wise decision, just to help further the process. So trying to think, that's I really enjoyed the time that I got to meet with Dr. Miller and talking with the staff and just talking education with them. And I enjoyed the times that we had Leadership Academy, and I'm pretty sure all of the admin team came and talked to us at one point, and we really did. I appreciated that, and they were always open to our questions and open to concerns that we had, and were always very, very helpful as we're learning and growing also. So I just want to say thank you, and I appreciate your time. Do you have any questions for me about the project?
So this is something that you will be involved with next year as well?
Yes. So one thing that Dr. Miller and I talked about was, you could do a deep dive into grades and track them even more and see how they're doing. That might be a consideration. I'm going to be the one that's presenting the outline of what's expected in RTI this fall to the staff, which will be a good experience. And we're going to continue utilizing it, and I'm looking forward to looking at it again next year also, and just the stuff I created, Dan can use too. It's got a tracker in there that he can put in the information for each quarter and see how it's changing. So, and this will keep his records as well. So yeah, I look to continue it, and RTI is on the schedule for next year also. So
Great.
Awesome.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you again for your time.
Thank you.
Okay, next we had a written evaluation for health and wellness. Hopefully everybody had a chance to review that. Any questions? And then next we have a program evaluation for professional development. Mrs. Kopp.
Okay, so this is for the years 22-23 and 23-24. Our professional development team would be myself, as well as Allie Stewart, Clara, who you've already heard from, and Elizabeth Harahill, who is our other reading interventionist. And the people on this list, our 21st Century Skills team, they are also very important in our professional development. They meet monthly, they come in, they get their own professional development, and then they take this back out to the staff. This past year, they were doing a lot of after school. They were using it to get career ladder hours. So we'll be changing how we do that a little bit. These are the things that our 21st Century Skill team, that what they really focus on, and it is the learning aspect, that critical thinking, creativity, collaboration, and communication, and then the literacy part of it with information, media, and technology, and then those life skills, just, being flexible, the leadership, initiative, productivity, and social skills. So 21st Century Skills team, they're gaining professional development every month so they can take this back out to their staffs. So the plan for the 21st Century Skills team for next year is we'll be pushing more into our building professional development time. The buildings will be having more PD time, and so we're going to have the 21st Century Skills team support those building administrators in that. Really, we're building capacity in that team, so we have a train the trainer model. Their skills and knowledge, they have learned so much, and they are our 21st Century Skills team. They are our early adopter teachers. They're excited. They're excited to learn new things, and they're excited to take it back out to the staff. We are creating more equity throughout the buildings. We used to be fairly elementary heavy, and we're now going to have 3 reps per building. And big things that we want them to do, kind of their big rocks, is going to be supporting in Portrait of a Graduate professional development, continue with our authentic literacy, as well as that competency-based mindset. So competency-based mindset, what is it? First of all, it is just the idea of giving students agency, making sure kids know where they are in their learning progression. They get very specific feedback that is geared directly to them because, kids are in all different places in their learning. So kids know where they are. They're getting feedback that is directly to them. They know what the learning target is. And there is a very clear path of how they get to proficiency. Everybody is working toward the same standards. It's the Missouri Learning Standards. We focus on the priority standards. And this makes sure that kids don't get left behind. Kids know where they are. Their parents know where they are. Teachers know where they are, and what they need to do to continue on that progression. So how do we get there? We need to provide professional development for our teachers. One of the things we'd really like to focus on this next year is taking teachers to some site visits so they can see what this looks like in other schools. Continue with our proficiency scales and assessments. Making sure that teachers are reteaching students, giving kids more time. Not every child learns at the same rate, and we need to remember that and be ready to reteach when a kiddo doesn't understand something the first time. Closely monitoring that student performance and giving that feedback, making sure we have engaging environments, really focusing on learner-centered instruction, those activities that the kids are doing, because that helps keeps kids engaged. Implementing the high-performance teaching methods, which we are bringing in Mike Rutherford this next year to really talk about, engaging teaching strategies. And then we're also this summer, Mike Rutherford is coming in to work with our principals and helping them to be effective instructional leaders in their buildings. Portrait of a Graduate is something we have been working on for the last couple years. You remember a couple years ago, we brought in Getting Smart, our educational consultants. They worked with us on this, on the first couple competencies, and then the Portrait of a Graduate team has worked on the others. We get feedback from the teachers on all the competencies, and we've been working on our scaled skills. This next year, we will be rolling out full implementation. So this is what has been put together for our back to school professional development. We have tied sessions back to all the different competencies for Portrait of a Graduate. We sent a survey out to the staff asking them the professional development that they would want in different areas, and these are the things that have been listed. So all of those things fall under, fall under these different competencies. And really, we want to keep doing that. Everything comes back to our Portrait of a Graduate. This is our North Star. These are the competencies we want our kids to walk across the stage with. So we're going to give professional development in each of those areas. We're going to continue with our project-based learning. All of our elementary teachers and librarians have now been trained. We will continue training new teachers as they come on board, and we're going to continue to develop grade level units, and we will be tying those to our career pathways when possible. Our high school, as you know, next year, this year we're on track to have 90% obtainment of MVAs, market value assets, and next year our goal is 100%. We sent teachers last summer, we sent them to an apprenticeship program through Kaufman, and they worked on learning more about client-connected projects. And then they continued going to sessions at Kaufman called Communities of Practice. I attended those as well as Stacy Holtzclaw. We attended those with the teachers. They continued to work on this. We saw a huge gain in our MVAs through client-connected projects, so we know that this has been very successful professional development, but we've just got to keep working with our teachers so they're better for our kids. Also, Andy, Dr. Gustafson, he attended the Principal's Fellowship at Kaufman, also for real-world learning. Beginning with next year, our kiddos at the elementary, they're going to take the RIASEC Interest and Career Survey and kind of see where their interests lie and what their aptitudes are. And we're not going to be tying little kids, telling them they should decide now, but they just kind of will start to learn what it is that they like to do and what they're good at. Are they more of an artistic person? Do they like working with their hands? Are they doers? Are they organizers? You can see that in little kids already. So we're going to start doing that, and then they'll have their own little learning centers that are based on each of these different competencies in the RIASEC, so kids can work on all of those different things. Other professional development that we did, you can see it here. I won't read them all, but our Summer Institute, we had social emotional learning, Kearney Leadership Academy, all kinds of different things in there. This is how we spent the bulk of our money in 22-23. You can see a huge portion of it was for subs for teacher coverage. There's conferences, some travel, project-based learning, Project Lead the Way, and then the RPDC, that's our Regional Professional Development Center. That's, we work with both Northwest up in Maryville as well as the Kansas City RPDC. And then for 23-24, this is where the bulk of our money went. Strengths of our program, of course, our dedicated teachers, our 21st Century Skills team, our elementary curriculum coordinator, reading interventionist, and one thing we do pride ourselves on is that we believe our teachers are one of the reasons we have been so successful is our teachers have such a deep understanding of those standards, and we really work on that in all of our professional development, whether it's our proficiency scales or, you know, unwrapping any kind of standards. Our teachers really understand what our kids need to know. A lot of districts, they hand teachers the lesson plans, and our teachers have a lot of autonomy to teach things that they want, the way they want to teach it, but they also understand what our kids need to know. Opportunities for growth, we know we need to do, allow more time for collaboration, more professional development in non-core areas, additional SEL training. We always need more subs. We need to add some secondary instructional support. We've done a great job adding that at the elementary level. And when it's possible, we really need to look at adding some instructional support at the secondary level as well. And then we are going to focus on, you know, making our professional development tie to that portrait of a graduate. These are our focuses for 24-25. Again, portrait of a graduate, project-based learning. Really, there's nothing new. We're going to continue working on what we're working on. We are going to bring back Kathy Battles. She was a very well-received consultant, math consultant for us a couple years ago, and she doesn't do a lot of consulting anymore because she does work. She has a different job, kind of working with DESE. She's very well connected, but she is going to come back and support our teachers this next year. And then increasing our elementary math RTI, which we had a chunk of money from ESSER funds, and we purchased some math materials for elementary RTI, so we'll be focusing more on that. Questions?
Yeah, so professional development, we're talking about, I mean, like, I don't know what slide it was. It's a couple back. We talked about other professional development. You talked about all the other things. I just look at all this and I just say, like, we're overloading our teachers. This isn't necessarily just directed towards PD. This is just like, you know, when your focus is so broad that you have no narrow focus on being experts in the field that you're in, I just look at all these programs and I just think that we're way over stimulating our staff. That's just from listening to Jennifer and listening to all the different things. Like, just the other professional development page, there's 10. Sorry, Jennifer, I'm not like it's let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There's 11 on that one page, plus NWA, plus MAT, plus, you know, EOC, plus. I mean, I don't have all the names and all the acronyms, but I'm just telling you that, to me, if I were a teacher and I'd see all of these things that I have to do or be a participant in at some level, and we're adding. We'll go back to that one. And we're adding at the elementary level, you know, the RAIDC.
So RIASEC.
Yeah.
I don't think
I just don't like it.
So let me clarify what PBL is already well underway at the elementary schools. Obviously, there's still opportunity to grow. So RIASEC, what that stands for is realistic, artistic, social, conventional. So one of the things that it's about learning about who they are as a learner. All it does is it takes it to the next step. It takes it a step deeper. it's not a real shift, right? How do we continue to augment and grow on what we're already doing?
Mhm.
And I think that's what some of the things, especially Jennifer's second to last slide, it's taking those things that are in place and going deeper. Instead of adding new assessments, how do we go deeper with NWA? Your point is fair, but I also think that we're trying not to, we're trying to be mindful of not layering on too much new, just building on to what's currently there.
Okay. I'm seeing it differently than that, just based off of it, because there's so many different
And
programs.
the question is, how many steps can you take?
Yeah.
Well, and different groups of staff are in different places. And Jennifer, do you want to add to that? I don't want to.
Well, I mean, is this the slide you're talking about?
That's just your other professional
This-
development.
but
That's the
these are-
others.
This is like Summer Institute. That's like we offer things that teachers can voluntarily come in for. Social emotional learning. I mean, a lot of that is more voluntary.
You miss the point of this is that there are so many different programs in which these teachers have to be a part of. It's not just social emotional learning. It's not just all these different things. It's what program, portrait of a graduate, proficiency scales, all the different things that you're adding onto their plate that they have to be good with so that they understand how to do their job well. And it just feels like we've got too many different programs out there
Sure.
to choose from.
So I think a couple of things. I do think we are mindful of that, and I think that's active conversation that we're having. How do we continue to build on the good work that's already happening? The second thing that's already in our strategic plan is how do we give teachers and afford them the opportunity to learn about things that they have interest in? And I think that's where some of that list comes from.
And that's fair, and that's
Yeah.
completely, I mean, I know what you're getting at, Jennifer. I'm not saying that, but what I'm saying is when you listen to the whole presentation and then you add the other, all of a sudden,
Yeah.
we've got so many different programs that, like, and I understand, like, we want to do different, the STEAM, the art, like, I don't want to distance, like, I'm not saying that we're trying to step away from that. What I'm saying is that if I'm an ELA teacher, the depth of all of these things that I have to be involved in at some level is large.
Sure.
Before I've ever graded a paper.
Before I've even stepped in my.
It is, you're right. John, you're right. We ask a lot of our teachers.
Yeah. And I think it's definitely something we have to be mindful of. And you have to remember some of that work is staged, where one content area may be doing X this year, and it'll hit another content area the year following. So, but again, it just needs to be staged. Jennifer, anything you want to add?
Well, and these aren't just all these individual programs. They really do tie together. I mean, and it is, we do things in stages, and we really haven't thrown anything new at them. NWEA we started last year, and that was to, really become a part of this Success Ready School network. But even there, our middle school had been doing this with great success. They used the data. I think we have a year under our belt for learning that. I think this next year, our teachers will really appreciate that information. It will help guide their instruction. But truly, the things that we're doing, they really do tie together.
So does that mean map testing's going away if we're doing NWEA?
I'll get to that here in a second.
Okay. But that's my point, because that's two different things they've got to be PD'd up for. Map testing's different than NWEA.
It is, but
So,
we
I
get
mean,
to choose where we put our priorities to, right? Your point is taken, and we do hear that from teachers, right? And so we need to be mindful of that.
One thing that I'm hearing, and not just in this presentation, but with Dr. Miller's leadership and other leadership, is that we're trying to do a better job, and I did hear a little bit of this tonight, to prepare our principals to be leaders within the buildings, and they're also to be improved, maybe better than in the past, collaboration between our buildings to meet the objectives of our, not just our professional development program, but our academic strategies connected to our strategic plan. And I know it seems like we've gone maybe back and forth a little bit in the 3 or 4 years that I can remember, that we were very focused that every teacher had to do everything, and they weren't able to explore some of the other things that they wanted to do. And then we went in that direction, and maybe this is coming back.
And John,
pendulum a little bit. At least this is just how I'm seeing it. And also with additional time, because we did hear from teachers on that, additional time in the academic calendar to be able to have more professional development time, some structured and not. Is that right? And is that perhaps going to be something to address the volume? And sure, it's a lot, but if this is the total menu, and not every teacher has to eat everything on the menu every year, right? The way I understand it.
I'm just looking at it
No,
more of a program
I think your point
standpoint.
is it's a lot, and some of it's, and I think that's maybe where Dr. Miller is going. Some of it's driven by state standards. Some of it's what we really know our kids need to learn, and trying to figure out all of that, and that's hard.
Well, I also think that it's 3 different administrations of ideas that we've gone through some different leadership. I mean, I know Emily's on year 2, but we've continued. We started with, one leadership of, hey, we're moving this direction, and then we switched gears to another leader, and then now Emily, has the direction that she wants to go. And so I think there's also a little bit that, we probably should be looking at. Some of these maybe don't need to be in place. That aren't, part of the core competency, as well as, like with all, and I don't want to just dive in like that narrow, but a little more structure to, like, if we're going to have it on here, there should be a way we tie it back to one of the core things that we're working on, back to strategic plan. And I don't think that that's unrealistic.
Yeah, I don't think it's unrealistic. I think Jennifer has a valid point, though. A lot of the things that she presented on today, it's a lot of words, but there's a lot of interrelatedness, right? And so how do we focus the message? And so a lot of good things happening, and we want to continue to move the needle.
I just don't want my staff, or our staff, I say mine, she whiz, our staff to feel like that they're not appreciated and that we're overstretching them. Because post-COVID, all we've done is just continue to layer on them. And I look at this, and I don't say that this is a bad thing that you're doing, Jennifer. I think you're doing great work, okay? But my point is that I think that we've layered so many different layers on them that at some point we've got to decide what's important to us and what is the most desired, like how we're going to get the best result. Sure. Which then also makes me want to say, with your budget, I don't like that we bring people in. This is a personal opinion. Nobody else can have this. It doesn't bother me. I don't like, are we the professionals in the room or aren't we? So and that's very drastic, and you may not like that statement, but I don't like the fact that we're spending $6,700 for a person to come in when Jennifer's talented, Allie's talented. Why aren't we using our talent to its full ability as well?
Because leaders still have to learn.
Okay.
I mean, I understand what you're saying budget-wise, but I think that you halt that talent by not seeing what else is out there. I mean, leaders still have to learn, so that's a little bit.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
I do think there's times when bringing in another voice resonates with people, right?
Mhm.
When you hear the same people all the time, you bring someone else in if you want to. Russ Tuttle's a good example, right?
Yeah.
We covered digital citizenship, but to have someone come in like that, they heard him differently. So I do think there's time and place for that.
Fair. Completely
How
fair.
often do we survey our staff for PD stuff?
Well, sometimes we survey them after a specific session, but like this, I don't know, maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago, we sent out our big PD survey asking them what they thought about the different things that we did throughout the year. What do they want to see this year?
Do you feel like you get good feedback on that?
Oh, yeah.
Like honest feedback?
Yes.
Yeah.
And then we also have a PD committee that we meet with 4 times a year, and they talk to their staff. They're their building representatives, and they bring to us, if there's concerns or wishes from their staff, they bring that back to us as well. So it's a collaborative decision in the things that we choose to do. And I know it sounds like a lot, and there are some big rocks we're trying to move right now. There are. I'm not going to say that it's not, and it's a lot of work. But bottom line, I will tell you, we know it is good for kids, and it's what kids need. So, and we have really dedicated teachers who are willing to do the work because it's good for kids.
I'm going to say one last thing.
Can I just add my last little comment?
You sure can.
Thank you. I need you to, I'm not a big fan of proficiency scales, and I just hope you prove that out for me. I'm not making that as an opinion. I've had an example personally that I would tell you that I think they don't work. So, but that's very personal to me.
I'd love to talk to you about it.
Thanks,
John.
Jennifer.
Yeah.
I'd just be interested to know how much overlap there is. And then what's being done with that data from the overlap, and do we actually need to go all that deep with, can we get just as deep going twice as opposed to going 3 times?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and then what's, because at some point you almost become data saturated, like what are we actually
Well,
doing with all that?
and so this was going to be my point. So obviously, our strategic plan is robust, right? And so Jennifer is charged with the task of touching base with all those key elements in the strategic plan. It's deep. The layer underneath that is building principles develop a building improvement plan. So they take that wide document and they narrow the focus down into what they're going to actualize in the building level too. So I think, don't forget that layered process too.
Yeah, yes.
Yeah.
Anything?
Thank you, Jennifer. Okay, next we have action items. MSBA delegate.
Move to approve the appointment of Meredith Cole as MSBA delegate for the 2024-2025 school year for the Kearney School District.
Second.
All in favor? You can vote too, Meredith. It's only on the other side. Opposed? Okay, thank you. Board of Education, represented to KSDEF.
Move to approve the appointment of Nick Vasquez to the position of liaison for the Kearney School District Education Foundation for the 2024-2025 school year.
Second.
All in favor? Opposed? Thank you. Kearney Advanced Enterprise Zone.
Move to approve the appointment of Darlene Bailey as board representative to the Kearney Advanced Enterprise Zone.
Second.
All in favor?
Just fell asleep.
Does that need a year on it
Yeah, I probably should have a year on there.
for the 2024-2025 school year?
Got it.
Second.
Noted.
All right.
Down.
Career ladder.
Move to approve the 2024-2025 career ladder plan as presented.
Someone want a second?
Second.
No, can we look at?
Well, no, we need to second it, then we can talk about it.
Got it.
So
Nailed it.
now we can discuss who's going to present. Okay.
Does anybody have any questions right off the top? Well, that's loud.
I've got 10.
Okay, good.
Yeah, but I'm gonna wait to the end.
All right.
Okay.
So, as you've seen some of the drafts that we've sent out regarding the career ladder plan. This has been vetted by the team, the career ladder team. Been several revisions. So, as we entered the 23-24 school year, we were looking a lot at compensation. And with the ballot measure in August, we had to start looking at things a little differently. And the question of whether we offer career ladder next year actually came up. Do we look at the supplemental pay for career ladder, or do we take that money that we've spent with those programs and put that into the salary schedule? So we're going to spend probably between $800,000 or $900,000 this year. Looking at the plans, we're about 80% through the plan approval at this point. I think we finished up about 120 of the 170 that are out there. And so looking at what we were considering possibly cutting career ladder, we received a lot of feedback from community, from our staff, and from our students of some of the great things that have happened because of career ladder. And I think you saw some evidence of that tonight in some of the presentations. But we looked at what we really wanted to focus on as that direct student contact. So we knew we couldn't go to the $800,000-900,000 mark, and so we made a cap of $500,000. And that's a 60-40 reimbursement rate, 60 for the state, 40 for us. So if we cap it at $500,000, the district's expense will be $200,000. And so that would give us, if we wanted to have all stage 3 plans, we could do 100 stage 3 plans. And so if you look at the plan, and if you look on page, I believe it's 4 in the rubric, you can kind of see the 3 stages that are set up and what they focus on. on stage one, for 50 hours, it's a $1,500 reimbursement or payment for the teacher. They can do 40 hours of direct student contact, and that ratio is 80% to 20%. So 80% of the hours they can count will be for direct student contact. And they can do an academic activity or a non-academic activity. And an academic activity would be tutoring or a STEAM-related club, robotics, foreign language, community service. And stage two, a $3,000 payment for 75 hours, 60 hours of direct student contact, and 15 hours of planning. Again, with the planning, that was one of the revisions that we made as a team. We originally had a lot less planning, and we got feedback from the Career Ladder Committee, hey, I think we need a little bit more time. If we're really going to provide quality activities for our students, we need some time to plan, and that should count in the Career Ladder plan. And then stage three is focus on academic activities. You can, on this one, this is a little bit of a blend. For 100 hours, it's a $5,000 payment. 60 hours has to be an academic activity. 20 hours can be a non-academic activity, and then 20 hours for the planning for the total of 100 hours. So this is a different plan. The approval process is going to be different. We're going to look at a different style as far as, right now it's a pretty open concept. We're following the state guidelines pretty much to the letter, but it offers a lot more freedom. Not that that's bad, but I don't think we're going to have to focus some of our efforts, and that's why I went back to the direct student contact. That's where we found we got more bang for our buck. And so there is a rubric on page 5 that we will use if we need to. We'll see when plans are submitted, if we have enough allocated money to cover all the plans, if we need to trim or start looking at what plans will be actually accepted and allowed to go forth. We'll use this rubric, and the criteria will be the rigor of the activity, if there's any cost for students to participate, if tutoring is the primary activity, is there a defined intended outcome? Is there a way to measure student growth or the impact of that activity? And then is there a defined way to increase a sense of belonging and engagement? And all these, as you can see, resonate with our strategic plan. So we don't know if we'll need to use this rubric. We'll see how many plans are submitted in the fall. But looking forward to the great things that the teachers will do, our staff will do with our students in the future. And this is going to be an ever-growing document. I expect we'll probably be making changes next year too as we move forward. This is I would not call it a pilot because we've done a lot of these things already, but it's definitely a bigger change than what we've done before. So what questions do you have for me?
I just have actually one.
You said 10 earlier.
I know, but you answered a lot of them. It's your fault.
Okay.
So if you're doing Career Ladder, can you get a stipend at the same time for the same work? Is there a possibility of that?
So like if I'm
I don't have a great example either. I'm sorry.
getting a stipend for math club, can I use math club for Career Ladder?
Yes.
No.
So it has to be something separate from a stipend that you're
That's a
already getting from the
That's a
district.
state guideline, yes.
Okay. I just was curious on that. Like, I didn't know how all that, because that's a lot of interweaving that could occur in that.
And that is something that, with the open format we have now,
Mhm.
is really kind of difficult to monitor.
Okay.
It takes a lot of digging. I think our Career Ladder Committee does a great job of getting to the bottom of it as we approve plans.
Mhm.
We've had several that have had questions that we have to go back to administrators and make sure that we're on the up and up, and we're doing things that they're not already getting some kind of paid format or paid for already.
And then this all came out of committee, like you have a committee for Career Ladder that's, like, hey, we got to make the best use of this, and this is what they came with the recommendation for, Zach?
Well, to be honest with you, this was more of a top-down recommendation. The
Okay.
administrative team got together.
Okay.
And, it was a pretty big district effort. I would say that Dr. Miller had a huge part in this, in shaping this plan. The Career Ladder Committee, when we first put the first revision out, it was a big shock because it's a huge change.
Right.
And, teachers like Career Ladder. It's a good program. We're doing great things for kids, like we said before, but we can't have it all, and so we want to pay our teachers, but we also want to provide this. So there was some pushback, but I shouldn't say pushback. There was some pointed suggestions about changes in the plan. And we took those to heart, and I will say that the last revision we put out, that they thought was a fair compromise from what we had started with, from what they had suggested in moving forward.
Okay,
Can I suggest one tweak?
Sure.
That first week of school, there's a lot for teachers to do. Your plate is very, very full. And sometimes meeting those deadlines, getting everybody to sign off on your career ladder plan is part of that. Can there be like a longer window for turning them in without penalty? I know you're gonna
Are you talking about like, they will be due like on the 19th, you mean?
Right.
Well, they're gonna go out, I'll probably send out this plan tomorrow so they can work on them all summer and get them ready by the 19th. And the plan is to, over the summer, we're gonna get together as the Career Ladder and we'll offer some sessions for people for help and things
Okay.
like that. Even before that, we'll have a new teacher session on the 9th, those that are new to the district. But, I think that's worth looking at.
Well, because you do them in batches, right, anyway, so.
You do, yeah,
So
you
if
do.
some come in later, they can't meet that deadline, they know, they're coaching or they've got so much going on at the beginning of the school year.
We would just like to get things going because we're already pushing the start date back to September. Because right now, the state will allow you to go from May 1st until May 31st, May 1st of the first year, or this year until May 31st of next year for plans to be in action. But what we find is, John made the point, well, we have activities, summer school readers roundup, things that are happening where teachers are interweaving their activities with that, and it's kind of really hard to determine what's what, right? And so we want to hold people accountable. We want to make sure we're doing great things for kids, but that's become difficult. So we really want to make sure that all those plans are approved and people get the go-ahead to hit the ground running right after Labor Day.
Right.
Okay.
How many teachers do we usually have sign up for Career Ladder?
So this is the second year we've had it. And so we had 83 plans, if I'm not mistaken, my first year, so 22, 23, and we more than doubled it this year.
Okay.
And so we originally had 180, I think I've told you guys 186, I think was a first. I think we're gonna have closer to 168 by the time we're done. We've had some people fall out that didn't complete plans.
This may be completely pie in the sky, but I love that the teachers that are doing this want to have all the student contact time. Like, if you're gonna do 6 before school clubs at the end of this year, can you tell us as parents when those are? So we can plan for next year to know, like, you've done 3, you probably have to be done. Oh, the 4th one comes up. Oh, I really want to do that one. Well, you've already, it may be pie in the sky. I get it. I'm gonna throw it out there anyway to ask.
Nick, can you plan your families next week?
I think that's a
that way?
I'm very planned next week. That's why I want to know.
I think that's a realistic expectation. Well,
if you know when you're gonna have them, like if you know when intramurals are gonna be already for football or whatever, it sure would be nice to know.
And hopefully with this plan format and the changes in it, and this isn't all, there's gonna be some more planning documents that we're gonna have to create. This will push teachers to be a little bit more forward-thinking with those direct contact hours and plan those activities a little. They're gonna have that all spelled out before their plans are approved. It's gonna be a little more structured.
Having to get started by September 3rd, is that new?
Just asking.
You're good.
I get it.
That's a good question, or a good suggestion.
So the whole timeline is a new thing, so hopefully that will
Yeah,
answer your question. That hasn't been in place
Okay, look, can we
before.
just-
Yeah, okay.
Doesn't mean anything unless it's signed off.
Right.
Okay, we ready to vote? All in favor? Opposed? Thank you. Resolution with SRSN.
Move to adopt the resolution on participation in the Success Ready Students Network System Design Zone Demonstration Project with federal waiver request as presented.
Second.
I'll eventually get to your question. So, all right. So the Success Ready Student Network. So this is a grassroots effort by approximately 100 school districts within the state of Missouri. The charge of this group is really to challenge DESE's current practice of assessment, accountability, accreditation, and instructional practices. We want that to improve, and we want more flexibility. So as we know, right now, we have a one-time of year summative assessment. It's the MAP test. It's the end of course exam. And so when you have that late spring assessment, you know, that summative assessment, there's very little instructional value to it, right? So that's one of the points that we're really trying to challenge. The other thing that we're trying to challenge is the method of accountability that districts are currently under. Again, there's heavy reliance on that one time of year summative assessment. As we've talked about previously, when our last APR score, annual performance report score, came out, it is very difficult under MSIP 6 for us to transparently communicate what growth looks like, especially when accreditation is on the line. So again, another point of contention where we believe the SRSN is heading in the right direction. So one of the things, let me talk about the key tenets that SRSN is proposing. So they are advocating to overhaul the assessment process, minimally go with a fall, winter, spring assessment. They call that a through assessment process, where in the fall, you see how students are performing up against standards, you get immediate feedback, teachers are able to tailor their instruction based upon student performance. Again, we think that's best practice moving forward. That's one of the reasons why we transitioned to the NWEA. It's nationally normed assessment. Again, we feel like it's good data. There's evidence that our middle school staff has done really great work with our students. Second tenet that SRSN believes in, it's that competency-based mindset. Again, one of the things that does is it instructionally challenges being time-bound in class. We know that every student that walks in our classroom doors, they're gonna understand content at a different pace, right? So it gives us more flexibility in making sure that we meet students' needs as they progress. It also allows for more choice, right? Hearing student voice and allowing them to demonstrate different ways that they understand proficiency on the standards. Another key point is the commitment to real-world learning. So the Kansas City area, Kearney in particular, as Jennifer just mentioned, is well on its way to almost meeting 100% MVAs by next year. That's our goal. They're trying to mobilize that statewide. Again, good effort. Again, another change that they'd like to see is a change in our accountability and accreditation system based on evidence-based practices. And then finally, there's the expectation that we build and commit to a continuous improvement framework. And I think our work that we did in 2022, the extensive community engagement process, our robust strategic plan, again, I feel like we're there. So there's a lot of tenets that we're already doing. Will this create more back-end work from district staff, not school staff? Yes. I think this group is headed in the right direction. Now, to get to your point earlier, so I said there's 100 school districts that are involved. 20 school districts last year were a part of what was called the demonstration project, and they actually went before the State Board of Education and received a waiver from the state of Missouri. So that gets them out of, that's a waiver from the APR. It's not a federal waiver that gets us out of the MAP test or the end of course exam. So they continue to do more work, and they hope to make application to the federal government so that we receive that waiver. I will tell you, we've received some early feedback. So the way their current assessment proposal is written, districts that participate, the SRSN has said you can be an NWA district, you can be an iReady district, you can be a STAR district, and I think there's a fourth assessment. The feedback that we've recently heard is the feds don't like school districts having a limited menu of options. They want us to drive to one assessment. So that's where some work has stalled on receiving the federal waiver. But the concept of what they're trying to do and where they're trying to push the state is the right work. And I believe that this is good work for us to be involved. By passing this resolution, what allows the district to do is, again, I think we're front runners in a lot of this work. It allows us a seat at the table if we're going to create a new statewide assessment system. It allows people from Kearney to sit in those conversations and say, this is what we feel would be meaningful for our students. Again, it's back-end heavy lift from district office, but again, I think the long-range intent is good.
So does that mean we will be doing MAP, EOCs, and NWA for the foreseeable future with, even if we get into cohort 2 here of getting a waiver from the state, we're still going to have to do all 3?
Yes. Yes. We were doing STAR last year. We just replaced STAR with NWEA. So we were already doing it because we felt like we needed a better assessment tool to guide instruction. So my hope was that federal waiver would pass, but I don't want to give you any false impressions at this point. There's more work to be done.
So which standard do you focus on? They're all different. They're all going to have at some level, a different standard that they're pulling from through their testing, right? The MAP's going to be different than NWA. Like they don't all mirror each other as far as their core competencies and their standards that they pull.
So, and Jennifer, jump
And
in
it
if
might be
I-
like a 5%,
Yeah.
right? Like it might be small, but which one is the one that's important?
Are we talking about the NWA or where SRSN wants to go?
NWEA and MAP and EOCs, like which is the one that if you were a teacher, you'd say this is my primary?
So I think if we receive the waiver, I think that gives us permission, we can extend permission to our teachers to say, focus on the NWEA. MAP's important, that should be a fidelity measure. If we're doing our jobs teaching and we're tailoring instruction based on standards, and we're informed by the NWEA, it actually it should take a little bit of pressure off the MAP testing, because that should just be an extra fidelity measure. Does that
Okay.
make sense?
Yeah, it does, absolutely.
Jennifer, anything you want to add to that?
No, they actually, and this is what we've heard from middle school staff, is that they feel like that NWEA is a pretty darn good predictor for the MAP. They really use that information on guiding their instruction.
I think from a student's perspective, one of my own children took a big chunk of the MAP in the morning and a big chunk of the NWA in the afternoon on the same day.
Yeah.
Like, that's a lot.
All week, all this week.
Yeah, I mean, that's a lot.
At Southview, it's all week, MAP and NWA in third
Yeah.
grade.
It's a lot.
My daughter's wiped.
Yeah.
Poor girl.
Just FYI.
Yep. I'm not going to disagree with that.
Yeah, it's a
That's
lot.
just time, or
Yeah, I mean, that's
can-
just,
Can we space it, like,
So we have choice in when we schedule our assessments.
Great point.
Yeah.
it's a lot.
Anything you want to add to that?
This week.
I mean, I'm not sure. You said that was at the middle school?
No, that's a Southview.
Oh, at Southview.
I don't think
Yeah, that happened.
introducing kindergartners to careers.
So,
Yeah.
and that's not an indictment. I mean, if that's the schedule system that was presented, what we had, that's just an observation.
Sure. And I don't know about the individual building, but I will tell you, being out of school the month of January created a hardship for, testing windows and scheduling.
Right.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Any other questions? Ready to vote? All in favor? Opposed? All righty, thank you. Next, we have over $50,000 purchases. First one is Chromebooks.
So we can either motion all of these together, or do you guys want to discuss each one of them separately in a separate motion?
We can move them all together, and then if there's discussion, there can be about any of them, right?
Yes.
Okay, so approval of over $50,000 purchases.
move to approve the over $50,000 Chromebook purchase?
Nope, just
Nope.
over
And-
$50,000 purchase. Oh.
No, I've got it in there. I've got a
okay,
separate,
all
I
of
put
them.
different
All right.
motions in different ones.
Okay, read it.
Move to approve the over $50,000 Chromebook purchase and for purchases from McConnell and Associates and from Schillers
Schillers.
as presented.
Second.
Any questions? All in favor? Opposed? Approval of agreement with Heartland Business Systems.
Just a minute, mine just. Move to approve the agreement with Heartland Business Systems as presented.
Second.
Questions? All in favor? Thank you. Bill payment to Cole Printing.
Move to approve the bill payment to Cole Printing as presented.
Second.
All in favor? Opposed? Abstain? Thank you. Board member comments?
I just want to encourage everyone to read the results of the survey that Dr. Miller mentioned tonight regarding kids on devices and how they answered. I encourage every parent to read those.
Yeah, it was a big gulp. Like,
it was shocking.
All right. The only thing I would add, and I know Dr. Miller talked about this in her comments, but I would, and we certainly put out a lot of information, but I would encourage board members to keep tracking on what's going on in Jefferson City and how that looks for the future down the road, and be mindful of a lot of things we'll have to think about related to that as it goes forward.
I know we have a week left of school, but I want to say to the staff and the teachers, what a great job they did this year. I know they started with a little bit of a sour taste in their mouth, but this district once again rallied together, and never once did I step foot in a single building and sense that teachers were discouraged or not there for their one goal of these kids and those seats. They may not have felt it in August, but they're ending this year just incredible. It was a great year for the Bulldogs, and that is because of the staff and the teachers, from the cooks and the grounds and the maid. I mean, like, just everyone, just what a great job they did. Way to finish out the year, way to really excel on what could have been just not what they wanted. So good job.
Thank you. Okay, important dates. Most important thing we do all year, May 19th, graduation. Let the rascals out. And then I know we still have some sports teams competing here in the next couple weeks, and track and things like that, so good luck to them. And then May 24th is the last day of school. June 19th is our next board meeting. Miscellaneous.
Action for closed session to immediately precede the regular meeting in June, including any record or vote to discuss items and issues allowable under section 610-021 of the Missouri Sunshine Law.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Matt Baker,
Yes.
Glenn Broughton,
Yes.
Meredith Cole,
Yes.
John Kirk,
Yes.
Switzer,
Yes.
Lee Foss's,
Yes.
Darlene Bailey.
Yes. We're adjourned. Thank you all. See you Sunday.